Hello everybody. Today I have the recipe that you've been waiting for. You know, a lot of people ask me, hey Robert, how do you make those healthier tasting tamales that actually taste like tamales and are good for you? Well, I'm going to give you a crash course today, so this video is going to go very fast. I'm just going to really focus on the masa. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Robert. I'm a certified personal trainer and also a certified nutrition coach, both through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So being that this video is going to be on a lot of different platforms, I just wanted to give you a little background there as to how I came up with this recipe. Over the past 3-4 years, you know, I grew up making tamales, but over the past 3 or 4 years, I wanted to find a way that I can cut the fat out of them and put them a little more into my eating plan, you know, for bodybuilding and all that good stuff, and for those who want to lose weight. So I've come up with a tamale here that's approximately 100 calories for a basic tamale, but when you add a little bit of cheese and olives to it, you can bump it up to about 125, maybe even 150 calories. But the thing is there's no added fat here. Traditional masa, you use a bunch of manteca in there, a lot of fat. We're not going to be using that today. And I've made a delicious tamale, and you're going to enjoy it. All right, let me go over the ingredients, what I got going on here. To start with, I've taken my Quaker oats and I grind them into oat flour, as you can see there. This I use the food processor for, and what I do, okay, follow along, here's the recipe real quick. 2 cups of oats. I actually fill this thing all the way up, so maybe it's 2.5 cups. Put it into my mixer. Then I use some hominy, and what I did is I used some hominy. This is the hominy from the can. I use the white hominy, you can use the yellow hominy, it doesn't matter. I put it in my food processor and pulsed it. As you can see, it's chunky. It's chunky, but it's not real big. And I use that because when you buy the prepared masa, it has texture to it. If you use the dried bags of masa, it's very fine and very thin. So for those of you who like it thin, you don't even need to use the hominy if you want to stay away from the products such as that. You know, or if you're not into the corn-based product with the hominy, you can always, you know, grind some carrots up. I don't know, you can put any kind of vegetable that you want in there. But what I do is I use approximately 2 cups of that, maybe just a pinch less. Poop, toss it into the mixer. And finally, here's the biggest step, is I use cauliflower. Cauliflower adds for the texture. It puts the liquid in there to help the oatmeal bind. And what I do is I take a head of cauliflower, and right here I got basically one head of cauliflower right here. What I do is I put it in my steamer, or you can boil it if you like. I put it in the steamer and steam it until it's cooked. Put it into the blender, and as you can see, the thickness of it is a little bit runny. It's not quite cauliflower mashed potato-ish. What I did is I took some of my green chili sauce that I was going to mix into my chicken here, and I added it to it. You can see the texture on it, or the color in there, where it adds a little coloration to it. I've also added, here's something that you're going to need to pay attention to, 1 tablespoon of chicken base, you know, the real thick stuff, chicken base, to give it the flavor. In addition to that, I've added, and don't tell me you don't have this laying around the house, I've added about a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of cilantro powder, and I put in a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon, a little more of oregano. And those are the flakes that you see in there. And that gives it the flavor profile that I'm looking for in order to season this up once it gets mixed in there. Now, what I've done is I've taken right at 2 cups of that to the 2-cup mark, poured it into the mixer, fired the mixer up, let everything get good and mixed, and then I use a digital scale. Again, the only way to know what you're eating when it comes to nutritional guidance is calories in, calories out. You got to know how much calories you're putting in your body and exactly what you're doing there. So I weigh all of these. These all weigh approximately 2 ounces. I mean, if I'm a little over, a little under, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. It's not that big a deal. But you can see when I laid them out here on the plate, they're rather sticky. You could see how they have that stickiness to them. They stick to your hands. What I recommend doing is you can let that sit for 15-20 minutes and it's not going to be as sticky. As you can see, these have been sitting for a bit. So if I were to roll them now, it's a nice smooth ball because it's not so bad. What I've done then is I've taken a couple of Ziploc baggies, you know, the famous Ziploc baggie. I've put it into my tortilla press here. I've sprayed them with a little bit of cooking spray. I take my 2-ounce 2 ounces of masa. I put it on here, not quite center, a little more to this end because it pushes it that way, but you'll figure that out as you go. Press it down, and then what I have is the masa pressed into here. I lay it out onto a corn husk, just like that. You can see there it's laid onto the corn husk. Then I grab approximately a tablespoon of my chicken mixture. This, by the way, I'm using a green chili chicken sauce here because I wanted a green chili chicken tamale. I'm not gonna go into how I make my sauce. I make it pretty much from scratch, but for those of you who are beginners at this and you don't want to go through all the work, go ahead and boil up a couple of chicken breasts, 2 or 3, and don't be afraid to use some La Victoria salsa mix. Yeah, I know, I'm not going to get on you for it, but this works in a pinch, and it's pretty much a lot of the same ingredients that I use, but I vary the ingredients and some of the stuff that I put in there. Next, I take a sliver of jack cheese. If I want to cheese these up some, put in some sliced olives and a slice of green chili, a little more green chili that is, and I roll it over like that. You see how I let this roll in, and then I put this over it and then come back over it with the corn husk and fold that up and put it in here to be steamed. So let's do that one more time for you real quick here. Okay, get a corn husk out here, get one of my masa balls there, and make sure I got enough cooking spray on the Ziplocs so it doesn't stick. Press that down, lift that up, put that over there. Again, take this over here, lay it right into the corn husk. Get some chicken in there, nice big chunks of chicken, some olives, a little bit of green chili, some jack cheese. I'm gonna fold this over just once and then keep this piece of corn husk peeled back. Then I'm gonna fold the whole thing over and come all the way across with it. There we go. Oh, one other thing, man, I keep forgetting to say this. One other thing is when you're working with the oat flour, the rule of thumb for oat flour is to add 2.5 teaspoons per cup, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder per cup of oat flour. So I do that. It's going to give these a little bit of rise to them so they're not going to be rubbery. Again, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder to 1 cup of oat flour. That way you're not getting the rubbery texture that you tend to get when using oatmeal in a lot of recipes. All right, folks, that does it. I'm going to cook these up. They're going to be absolutely delicious, and I hope that you feel free to incorporate this into your tamale making regimes down the road. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.